Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we are going to study a new paper, paper 33, Administration of the Local Universe. And that starts on page 366 of the original book. Let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight that we might share this wonderful revelation you provided for us. We pray that you open our hearts and minds that we might remember a little bit of this and share it with others. And we thank you for all those that join us out in computer land at this point and that be with us tonight. And we say this in the name of your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Well, it looks like somebody hit me in the nose. Probably one of the cats. All right.
Frustrating.
Yeah, dear, would you take the first one? Let me mute first here.
Paper 33, Administration of the Local Universe. While the Universal Father most certainly rules over his vast creation, he functions in a local universe administration through the person of the Creator Son. The Father does not otherwise personally function in the administrative affairs of a local universe. These matters are entrusted to the Creator Son and to the local universe Mother Spirit and to their manifold children. The plans, policies, and administrative acts of the local universe are formed and executed by this Son, who in conjunction with his spirit associate delegates executive power to Gabriel and jurisdictional authority to the constellation fathers, system sovereigns, and planetary princes.
Okay. Well, this is, I had all this planned out tonight and my brain is in 18 different places. Lord, give me some help here. I fixed 3 computers trying to get one to work for tonight. Sorry, y'all. And none of them were working right. So if we zip off, y'all stay online and I'll get back to you either through Diane's machine or another one way or another. Okay, so let you know ahead of time. All right, we've been talking about the local universe where it was created in the last paper and all the things it took to get the local universe going, right? All right, so this paper is about administration of that local universe, who runs it, who's in charge, and why it's that way. Okay, and it's a very, very interesting paper. All right, in this first paragraph, what they're telling us is even though the Universal Father rules over all the domains and all the local universes, it's really the Creator Sons that are in charge in each and every local universe. And they are in charge of the administration of their own local universe. And so these universes are entrusted to the Creator Sons and to the local universe Mother Spirit and all their created children that they both create. All right. And all the administration, the policies and things like that are executed by the Son and Spirit in association with these created beings like Gabriel, the constellation father, the system sovereigns, and the planetary princes. These are all created beings by Michael and the local universe created Mother Spirit. And I want to clear something up just to start out tonight, because in doing some research this week, we were talking about Gabriel a couple weeks ago, and I made the statement that Gabriel may be female. Okay, because all the—
I remember when you said that.
Yeah, all the angels are female. Well, I stand corrected. After doing some research today, I believe that Gabriel is an exception to the rule of the support personnel of the infinite spirit. Let me tell you why. Because they talk about Gabriel in this paper as being just like a Creator Son, okay, without the creative abilities. Okay, so if that's the case, that would make him a male-based figure, right, instead of female. But all other beings created after him, all the evening stars are all female. Okay, So he's the exception to that rule. All right. All the constellation fathers, the system sovereigns, and the planetary princes are what? Male-oriented. Okay. All the support people, all the angelic corps, every single one of them are all female. Every single one of them. Okay. So right underneath here, I put kind of a flow chart, and this is from Don Estes' charts of the local universe level. And you'll notice at the very top here, we have the creator son and the creative mother spirit, and they're in charge of the creation, the sustenance, and the ministry, okay, of that local universe. All right, and then right under them, the first being is whom? Gabriel, the bright morning star, right? The chief executive, and he sets up and enforces all the universe policies. All right, underneath him, of course, are the evening stars, who are the angelic support personnel, but next in line would be the Father Melchizedek, and he is in charge of all the practical procedures and the councils for the constellations, and then all the way down to the local systems. All right, so the constellation level is the constellation fathers, and we know that's the Verondadek sons, right? And they encompass 7 judge, whom all are ascending mortals too, as an advisory board. So it's not just the Verondadek sons; they have the input of ascending mortals. All right, and then we have the Melchizedek Council. Remember when the 12 Melchizedeks came to the planet right after the rebellion? There was 12 Melchizedeks came to the planet and took over the administration of the planet as an emergency. And they are the ones that are supposed to do that. So they review as evidence, digest pleas probably too, but formulate provisional verdicts and pass on to the Most Highs, similar to a grand jury, all the information they get. And then there's the constellation legislative body, and this is the true tribunal of ascenders, a house of ascenders, and seraphim, and some of the divine sons. Okay, so that's kind of the flow chart for the local universe. Okay, now I'm going to bring something up because we're going to go right into this next paragraph, and I want you to look at this number, 611,121. You see that? And we've talked about this number before. It's interesting because Emmanuel, the Union of Days, has the exact same number, and our local universe mother spirit has the exact same number. Okay? And Michael calls Emmanuel his elder brother. So you have to assume that Emmanuel was created first, then the creator son, and right after that, the local universe mother spirit. But Emmanuel was created by the Trinity. The creator son was created by God the Father and God the Son. And the universe mother spirit was created by whom? The infinite spirit. Okay. So you could really conceive as the local universe mother spirits, all of them, part of the support personnel or the angelic personnel that come from the infinite spirit. All right. So let's read this next paragraph. Rodney, would you take that next paragraph?
Yes, and I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it true that each local universe, always the firstborn, is called Gabriel?
We assume that they
Okay.
yeah, they infer that, Rodney. They don't say it directly. I don't remember them saying it directly, but that's the inference in the papers, that each and every first executive of every universe would be called Gabriel. It might be more of a name of a type of order of being, just like the Melchizedeks are an order of being, right? Being chief executives.
The same thing.
Yeah.
There were Melchizedeks in each local universe.
universe.
What
Right,
a-
right. Makes sense?
I thought, go
Okay.
ahead. I thought Emmanuel was Jesus's, Michael's oldest brother.
He's his he calls him his elder brother because he was born like a millisecond probably before he was. So he calls him his elder brother, but he is a creation and a representation of the Paradise Trinity, not the universal Father and the eternal Son. He represents all three of them. Okay, that's the difference.
Okay.
He's still considered his brother because he's part of the hierarchy of the sons of God. Okay. All right, so that's what makes
They
him
have a blended family.
They do. They do. All right.
Okay, number 1, Michael of Nebadon. Our Creator's Son is the personification of the 611,121st original concept of infinite identity of simultaneous origin in the universal Father and the eternal Son. The Michael of Nebadon is the, quote, only begotten Son, personalizing the 611,121st universal concept of divinity and infinity. His headquarters is in the threefold mansion of light on Salvington. And this dwelling is so ordered because Michael has experienced the living of all three phases of intelligent creature existence: spiritual, moral, and material. Because of the name associated with his seventh and final bestowal on Urantia, he is sometimes spoken of as Christ Michael.
And we know him as Jesus Christ, right? Same being, same person. Okay, first I want to mention this threefold order of being, right? And on the headquarters, threefold mansion of light on Salvington. Why would it be considered threefold? Because he actually experienced in his 7 bestowals a spiritual existence, a moral experience of existence, and a material spirit of existence. So that qualifies him to represent himself on all 3 levels of being. And these are the only 3 levels of being that we as humans will ever know, right? So he's considered, his mansion is considered the threefold mansion of light because he can manifest himself on all 3 orders at the same time. Makes sense?
Okay. The
So he
phrase
can be
Michael,
spiritual, moral, and material at the same time. Yeah, Gary, what was that again?
the phrase Michael of Nebadon is the only begotten Son personalized.
Yeah, I haven't got to that.
Per-
Yeah, let me come back to that. I haven't got to
Okay,
that
I'll
yet.
shut up.
Okay. First, let's go back to the first sentence. The 611,121st original concept of infinite identity. And his origin is in universal Father and the eternal Son. So he is the epitome of divinity coming from the universal Father and the eternal Son at the same time. And what makes him the only begotten Son is he is the only one of this nature in Nebadon, in his local universe. That's why he's the only begotten Son. And they say this in Nebadon. They say this in the Bible too. He is the only begotten Son. They're not talking about the original Son there. Okay, I want to make sure that's clear. When you read it in the Bible and it says that the Son of God is the only begotten Son. What they're talking about is he's the only concept of divinity and infinity in Nebadon coming straight from the universal Father and the eternal Son, and he's the only one. Okay, he is the creator of our local universe. Now, why is this 611,121st important? Because this is the number of the original concept of infinite identity that appeared on the 611th and 121st time of this happening. This is really important. So before Michael, there were 611,120 other creator sons created before him. And they are the infinite identity of divinity and infinity before him. Make sense? Now, how many of these are there going to be? We know there's at least 700,000 because there's 700,000 local universes. We know that there's at least 1 million of them because they say that there's 300,000 in reserve. Okay, so there's 1 million of these creator sons, and we have to assume that they were created immediately after each other. Bang, 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 one right after another. Okay, now the reason this is important, before the creator sons were all created in sequence like this, guess who else was created? A union of days by the Trinity for each and every one of them. So there were 611,120 union of days or Emmanuels created before our Emmanuel of our local universe. And they are what? The only begotten Son of the Trinity. Make sense? Because they're created by the Trinity. Now, why is this important? Because what comes next is why this is important. Guess what happens from the infinite spirit at the same time this is happening? The infinite spirit creates 611,121st concepts of divinity and infinity of his own, being the mate for the Michaels.
Oh, the mother
Okay?
spirit.
The mother spirits, all of them, right? And they're not called forth in service until the time that the Michael chooses his location in space. Okay, and at that point they come forth and accompany the Michaels to that space location, and they become the mother of the local universe. Make sense?
Thank you.
That's what all this is, how all this fits together. So for every local universe, there's a union of days, there's a Michael creator son, and a local universe mother spirit. Now, the union of days is the representation of the Trinity. Okay, so the union of days is not what? Creator. He does not rule our universe, does he? Our local universe. He only gives advice when asked for. So that, what does that make him? He's an ambassador from the Paradise Trinity, right? So the Union of Days, or Emmanuel, is the ambassador of the Paradise Trinity, and he will not step in and act unless it's requested by Michael himself, right? He will not get advice. He will not do anything unless Michael gives him, ask him for the advice. Now, I don't know if y'all remember, but before Michael left on his very first bestowal, Emmanuel gives him advice. And on his last bestowal, before he came to the earth, there's a whole page on the advice from Emmanuel for what Michael is allowed to do and what Michael is not allowed to do. And in those things he's allowed to do and not allowed to do is what? He cannot reproduce. He can't have children. Okay. In the physical form. Why is this? Because he's already got hundreds of millions of creatures that he's created that's already his children in his local universe. Okay. And if he had a physical son or daughter, that would start a bloodline of a creator son on a physical planet, and that is not allowed. So all these videos you see from Ancient Aliens and all these other shows that tell you that Mary Magdalene had babies and they were Jesuses and all this, it's poppycock. Okay, just tell you up front.
Well, they would be worshipped
They would be worshipped.
by other planets as well.
That's exactly right. So that's the name of that tomb. So we know where everybody fits in here now, right? We have a representative of the Trinity, an ambassador from the Trinity. We have a creator son, and we have a local universe mother spirit. Now, who rules all in the local universe?
Michael.
Michael. That's right. He is the sovereign. He is God of the local universe. He's the representation of God the Father and God the Son, but he's the representation of God of the universe by his own right because of his 7 bestowals. Got me? That's why before he came to the planet, he didn't rule in his own right, did he? He ruled in the right of the Father. So until he finished his bestowals, he was ruling in the right of the Father. So rebellion was possible in our local universe. Now that he rules in his own right, he can stop a rebellion on his own immediately, anytime. Right? Okay. Long drawn out thing for the first paragraph, or first couple paragraphs, huh? Okay. Now, a lot of these slides you've seen before because we've gone on over all these in the last paper, right? This is Salvington. This is the headquarters of the local universe. And all the tributaries, the 490 worlds that surround Salvington. And you'll notice again that it's divided up into different worlds for different types of beings, right? We have the Melchizedek worlds, the Verandadet worlds, the Lananondet world, the life carrier, the worlds of the Finalders, worlds of the evening stars, worlds of the archangels, worlds of the spirit fused mortals, worlds of the seraphim, and the worlds of midwares. And there's 10 each of these with 6 satellites going around each one, right? Makes it 7 altogether. All right. The first act of physical creation, we remember this, was to make Salvington on all the satellites, right? Turn colors on me. And this is Salvington and all the satellites. And you'll notice on these pictures, though, they actually have titles under each one of these little satellites. And if you make them big, you can see, read some of them. Physical life schools and labs, Urantia life schools, spirit life world, that sort of thing. So each one of these worlds are for a different thing. Well, now I got a big, can't get it to go back. There we go. There we go. Now we're back to normal. So each one of these worlds that surround Salvington have a different purpose. And guess what? You get to visit every single one of them, right? On your ascension plan. And then we have, that shows this one with U minor the 3rd. The Salvington world, there's the Salvington world of the Verandadeks and the Salvington worlds. It goes through a whole bunch of them here. So I'm just going to skip through all these. We've gone through most of this in the previous paper, and y'all can read these at your leisure. This is an interesting one, though, the 7 worlds of the archangels, spirit fused mortals. Now, remember, spirit fused mortals, stay in the local universe mostly.
Correct.
This is where they would live, right?
That's where they end up.
Yeah, must be pretty big any way you look at it, right? There's a whole bunch of them, and each one of them are groups of 10. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Jane, would you take the next paragraph, please?
Okay, our Creator Son is not the eternal Son, the existential paradise associate of the Universal Father and the Infinite Spirit. Michael of Nebadon is not a member of the Paradise Trinity. Nevertheless, our Master Son possesses in his realm all of the divine attributes and powers that the Eternal Son himself would manifest were he actually to be present on Salvington and functioning in Nebadon. Michael possesses even additional powers and authority, for he not only personifies the Eternal Father, but also fully represents
Eternal Son.
Oh, sorry, the Eternal Son. Thank
Right.
you. But also fully represent and actually embodies the personality presence of the Universal Father to and in this local universe. He even represents the Father-Son. These relationships constitute a Creator's Son, the most powerful, versatile, and influential of all divine beings who are capable of direct administration of evolutionary universes and of personality contact with immature creature beings.
1973. I think it was in August, if I remember correctly. I read this paragraph. First time I read the Urantia book ever. Guess what I did?
Through your
the
book,
book. I threw
You
my
threw
book
the book
across.
away.
Yeah, I threw it across the room.
because you couldn't understand it or what?
I could not handle the fact that Jesus was not part of the Trinity. You know, this had to be blasphemy. This book had to be of the devil. You know, you know, we've been brought up to the fact that Jesus was part of the Trinity. He was part of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Spirit. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while to understand this. You know,
But you forgot the one part that he's actually better than the Eternal Son.
Well,
The
no,
last part of the
no,
paragraph.
I would not say that. That is blasphemy.
that would be blasphemy, yeah.
No, he's the representative.
I
Oh,
lost you.
Roger, you cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he possesses additional powers and authority because of his manifestations, of his bestowals.
I
Authority
think
because
the original is
he
evolutionary.
Yeah,
well, yeah, and
Different.
he is the sovereign of the universe. The Eternal Son is not the sovereign of the local universe. The
Correct.
Eternal Son is part of the sovereignty of whom? The Trinity, right? And the Eternal Son is part of the sovereignty of what? Paradise and Havona.
correct.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's very big,
Yeah,
but
very
not the
big.
same. But not the same.
Not the same,
Yeah.
right? But it's interesting here that it says, nevertheless, our Master Son, and it says Master Son because that's what he is. You know, he became a Master Son when he finished his 7 bestowals. It says, have all the divine attributes and powers that the Eternal Son himself would manifest if he were on Salvington. So he is not only representing the Eternal Son, he's representing himself, but he's manifesting all this divinity as of the Eternal Son, just as if the Eternal Son was there himself.
A personification, can you say?
Huh?
Can you use the word personification?
Personification, that would be a perfect term for this, right? And he also embodies the presence of the Universal Father to the local universe. So he represents both the Eternal Son and the Universal Father.
But he could
Right.
never personify the universal Father.
No.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
That's
so
right.
nice details there. In
It is, you know, they try to
Yeah.
break this down and make it as much understandable as they can, because it says here, these relationships constitute a creator son, the most powerful, versatile, and influential of all the beings who are what? Capable of direct administration and evolutionary universes and personality contact with whom? Us.
Immature
Imma-
creature beings.
That's
yeah,
it.
Is he talking about one of us?
That's exactly who they're talking about, right?
One of us,
The,
huh?
all
the
of us.
immature creature beings. Some of us are more immature than others. But I'm joking. Let me cut my phone. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next one. What'd you say, Rodney?
The creator son springs forth from the Father and the Son.
Right. He does.
So when
Yes.
he is finally with the Mother Spirit, there's a Trinity right there.
Well, that's why they, you know, it's interesting because Emmanuel is the Trinity embodiment already, right? And he's just there for advisement. But without the Mother Spirit, we would not have the same concept of the Trinitization as we do, because the Creator Son represents God the Father, God the Son. There would be no representation of whom? The
Spirit.
infinite spirit, right? Only with the Mother Spirit do we add the influence of the infinite spirit into this picture. So with the creative Mother Spirit and Michael and the creative Mother Spirit as a pair, as a family, as a sovereign of our universe, we have representation of all three parts of the Trinity.
Right.
As a physical representation, not only as advisement like the Union of Days are, but actually the personality traits of those beings in action in the local universe.
And also, Roger, nothing happens without the Mother Spirit, without the infinite spirit, the
Yes.
action, you know?
Yeah, it's impossible.
Nothing
without that.
happens.
Yeah. And you can see why one of the two of them have to be present in the local universe all the time, right? Can't never have a time when they can both be absent, right? Because the local universe would fall apart.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next one. Gary, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. Our Creator Son exerts the same spiritual drawing power, spiritual gravity from the headquarters of the local universe that the eternal Son of Paradise would exert if he were personally present on Salvington, and more and more. This universe Son is also the personification of the universal Father to the universe of Nebadon. Creator Sons are personality centers for the spiritual forces of the Paradise Father Son. Creator Sons are the final power personality vocalizations of the mighty time-space attributes of God the Sevenfold.
Remember God the Sevenfold?
Yeah.
That little chart on that thing in purple? Do I need to bring it up again, or do y'all remember it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Let me bring it up, because I can't do this enough. Hang on, I'm gonna have to close a couple windows here, at least reduce them down.
So I was wrong, Roger. He is the personalization of the universal Father too.
Yes,
Both
he is.
the Father and the Son
Both the Father and the Son.
and the eternal
right?
Son.
Oh, I know what I got to do. Let me stop the share. All right. And I'm going to go, there we go. And I'm going to share a new screen. There you go. You see this picture? Always love to do this. Let me go over here and see if I can get over here too. Sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me minimize this so I can see this. You see this levels of the God, the sevenfold? That's what they're talking about right there. See my mouse?
Uh-huh.
God, the sevenfold. What's the what was that, Rodney?
It's very hard to read.
I know it's
Oh,
in
yeah.
purple. That's the way it came,
Well,
unfortunately.
it says the Paradise Creator Sons.
Number one.
Yeah, number
What's-
one.
What's the
The
second one?
Paradise, number two, the Ancients of Days.
That's right.
Number three, the seven Master Spirits.
That's
Number
right.
four, the Supreme Being. Number five, God the Spirit. Number six, God the Son. Number seven, God the Father.
And you can find that on page 11 in your book if you need to, right? All right.
Isn't that all the options of all the possible combinations or options of the Trinity?
No,
No, that's the seven master spirits you're thinking
this is
of.
how it flows down from heaven, right? How
Right.
it
This is
flows
how it
down
flows
to our
down from
local
heaven.
universe.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. Let me stop the share and share the screen again here. Go back to where we were. Okay. So what did they say here? The creator sons are the final power, personality, focalizations of the time-space attributes of God, the sevenfold. You see that?
Yes, so within them, there is also the seven master spirits.
That's right. There is.
Wow.
So all seven of God, the sevenfold, are representative through the power, personality, focalizations of Jesus or Michael himself. He represents everyone to us.
He's got a lot of power.
He's got a lot of power. He exerts lots and lots of power. Now, let's go back up to the top part of this paragraph. It says, God, the Creator Son exerts the same spiritual drawing power, spirit gravity, from the headquarters of the local universe of this, as if the eternal Son was there. Right?
Uh-huh.
So this is part of the universal circuits of paradise. And the one they're talking about is this one right here. The eternal Son, spirit gravity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess who represents this next one down here, the mind gravity circuit?
The mother spirit.
You got it. So two of the universal circuits of paradise are totally representative through the Creator Son and the creative Mother Spirit. So when you talk about the Spirit of Truth or the Holy Spirit, either one, both of those have direct representation through Salvington, through Jesus or Michael, and the local universe Mother Spirit. Got it?
Yeah.
Pretty important. Any way you look at it. And there's that chart on God the sevenfold. I stuck it in there too, just so you could read it easier, but I wanted you to know where to find it. Reminded you, right? Everybody knows now, right? Here are God the sevenfold, the one that she just read. Okay? Page 11 in the book. All right, let's see. Diane, I think you're up again, dear.
The Creator Son is the vicegerent personalization of the Universal Father, the divinity coordinate of the Eternal Son, and the creative associate of the Infinite Spirit. To our universe and all its inhabited worlds, the Sovereign Son is, to all practical intents and purposes, God. He personifies all of the paradise deities which evolving mortals can discerningly comprehend. This Son and his spirit associate are your creator parents. Nice. To you, Michael, the Creator Son is the supreme personality. To you, the Eternal Son is super supreme, an infinite deity personality.
So the Creator Son's not only the vicegerent personalization of the Universal Father, but he's the divinity coordinate of the Eternal Son, right? And the associate of the Infinite Spirit. The creative associate. Who's the creative associate of the Infinite Spirit? The Mother Spirit, right? So he represents personalization of all the paradise deities that we can comprehend, right? And that means that he is God, right? He is our concept of God. Anyway, you look at it. So that means that the Creator Son and the local universe Mother Spirit are what? Our parents, right? Our Creator parents, right? And to us, he is the supreme personality, and the Eternal Son becomes a super supreme of the infinite deity of the Trinity, right? Pretty interesting.
Basically speaking, Michael is it.
He's it. He's the big kahuna, any way you look at it, right?
Yeah,
For a
everything.
very,
through
very
him.
long time.
Very, 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 very long time, right?
Mhm.
And the interesting thing is this. By the time we get to Salvington and we stand before Michael, we want to hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant," right? What does that in reality make us? Not only
Children.
servant to Michael, that makes us brothers and sisters
Sisters.
to Michael. Makes sense?
And children too.
Yeah. Right. All right. Let's see here. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. In the person of the Creator Son, we have a ruler and divine parent who is just as mighty, efficient, and beneficent as would be the Universal Father and the Eternal Son if both were present on Salvington and engaged in the administration of the affairs of the universe of Nebadon.
Okay, so do y'all understand why God the Father and the Eternal Son doesn't get involved in the local universes?
Mhm.
Doesn't have to.
They don't have to. They have to delegate that out to the Creator Sons. It would be too much, right? They're busy with zillions of other things in the universe. They don't need to be administering a local universe, right?
But Roger, I don't think it would be too much. I think they gladly allow it to be administered.
Why? Because of the experience for their children, right? They allow them to do it so they can gain the experience themselves, right? How is that different than you sending your kids off to school or to college to get an education? You can't do it for them. You let them do it themselves. Why? So they can experience it themselves, right?
And when they get their home, it's their home.
That's right.
It's not
It's
yours.
It's an
Yeah.
act of love, right?
It's an act of love. And then this is his universe.
Right, right. It's the same thing when you send your kids out to get married or whatever. It's an
Yeah.
act of love to release them to go develop their own lives, right? And their own experiences, right? Makes
Correct.
sense? What was that?
Is there
Gary?
any other thing? Is there another level that Michael can get to?
No.
You know,
He'll always be a creator son, but we understand, they speculate that all the creator sons will have something to do with developing the development of the outer space levels also. So how that works, I don't know, but they're all working to put experience into the Supreme. And to Michael, that's a very important thing to do, because he mentions it several times, right? That the experience has to go to the Supreme. So they're all working together as a group to reach this certain point of light and life of all 7 super universes. And that has to happen before anyone can go out to the outer space levels and start anything as far as beings go. Why? Because that's the next step, right? And we're talking billions of years. You know, nothing gets in a hurry in the universe, right? Nothing. Think of it this way. If we're immortal, it's hard for us to even conceive of this, but if we're immortal, we don't ever die. So what are we going to do all that time? You know, we have to have something to do. And that's why we're going to go out to the outer space levels and do that, because they don't want us to get bored, right?
Well, that's kind of.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to sit around and play a harp the rest of eternity? I
Dude.
don't. Yeah. You know, I can think of better things to do. All right. The Sovereign of Nebadon. Let's see if we can get a couple more paragraphs in here. Jane, would you take that first paragraph on that?
To the Sovereign of Nebadon, observation of Creator sons discloses that some resemble more the Father, some the Son, while others are a blend of both their infinite parents. Our Creator Son very definitely manifests traits and attributes which more resemble the Eternal Son.
So our Creator Son's more like the Eternal Son than the Universal Father. What that means, I have no idea. I really don't. You know, we just know that he's more like the Son than he is the Father. All right. Gary, you take the next one.
Michael elected to organize his local universe, and herein he now reigns supreme. His personal power is limited by the pre-existent gravity circuits centering at paradise, and by the reservation of the parts of Ancient of Days of the super universe government of all final executive judgments regarding the extension of personality.
Yeah.
What's that?
Extinction of personality. In other words, wiping out personalities, right?
The eraser effect. Personality is the sole bestowal of the Father, but the Creator sons, with the approval of the Eternal Son, do initiate new creature designs, and with the working cooperation of their spirit associates, they may attempt new transformations of energy matter.
Okay, so every type of being, every type of being they want to create, if they want to create something new or unusual, they have to get it okayed by the Eternal Son. Okay, he has the final say on creature creations. Okay, so when you look up in space and you see the grays and the green men and all these other beings, that's because some Creator Son went to the Eternal Son and I said, I want to create these little short creatures, and they're gray or green or whatever, with big heads and little bodies. Is this okay? And he said, beep, yep, that's okay. You know?
Why?
I don't know. Don't know. So there's probably creatures of every type of manifestation that we can that we can't even conceive of, right? At this point.
You know, those beings could have been in existence before we were existence, and we may have been one of those beep go aheads.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It could very well be. There's another thing I want to mention in this paragraph, two things. First is they make it sure you understand that this local universe was created on the pre-existent gravity circuits that were already there. Okay, so the new local universe has to have all these circuits, all four of the paradise circuits and all this stuff going on before they even start. Okay, so the circuits have to be in, and all these center in paradise. All right, but the Ancients of Days reserve the right on the final executive decision on extinction of personality. In other words, wiping out any type of being. So the Ancients of Days are the only ones to decide if someone survives or doesn't survive, right? Mortals. You got me?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If a person commits suicide,
Yeah.
does the Ancient of Days says, no, I don't want him to be gone? Or I mean, I have a friend who's got this thing that he's going to live until he doesn't enjoy life anymore, and then he's going to take himself out. Okay? Now, and he's otherwise a great person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Would he be, if he does that, is he gone? Or is the Ancient of Days say, nah?
That's a good question, Gary, which I cannot render a judgment on that. I can give you my personal opinion, but I can't give you a judgment on that. According to the book, they talk about in the book final decisions. You know, people can make a final decision on this planet not to survive. They have to make a final decision to survive. Okay, so you can make a final decision not to survive. Is suicide part of that decision? I don't know. Let me tell you why. Because my personal opinion is God gave us life, right? The eternal mother spirit gave us the spark of life. Did she not? She started us off. We as individuals do not have a right to end that, as far as I'm concerned, because they have given us life as a loaner, the way I look at it. God the Father is in the vessel of this person, our shell of a person, right? He indwells our mind, our soul, whatever you want to call it. So if you shut that life off, are you not depriving that thought adjuster of the vessel for his work? I would say yes. However, it also states in the book, the greatest sacrifice a human being can give is giving his life for another human being, right? So, and this happens all the time when there's wars or crime, or what people step in front of bullets, take knives for other people, defend other people, and they consider that the highest sacrifice a human can do for another. So in essence, that's a type of suicide, isn't it? But it's not really. It's really giving your life to save another being. So in my opinion, we should not consciously take our life. We should ride it to the end, because whom? Jesus. Did Jesus take his own life when he was on the cross? No. He lived it to the end. And you can't think of a more horrible death than the death that he went through on the cross. I'm talking about sickness, cancer, war, anything else you can think of. It's no worse than what Jesus put through on the cross, and he lived it till the end. That's part of the human experience. So, in my opinion, it's a cop-out to kill yourself, period. I don't care whether you're tired of life. I don't care if you're ill. You know, I think of myself, I'm getting old. You know, I'm going to be 68 in a couple months. I hurt everywhere. I hurt in places I didn't know I could hurt. I still get up and work and do things every single day. You can ask my wife. Do I work, dear?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I don't feel good. You know, I mean, we all have problems. We all have issues with life, but that does not give us the excuse not to do the best we can with what we got till what? Till it's over. And if I'm 98 and I'm still teaching this book, so be it. If I'm not, that's okay too. There'd be somebody else come along to teach by that time. And so, yeah, I think suicide's a cop-out. I really do, under most circumstances, with the exception of giving your life for another person. Did that answer your question? That's not out of the book, though. That's my opinion.
It does not answer my question, but it gives me insight. It's not a yes or no answer, but that's the way it
It's
is.
not.
And I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with him.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
Well, you know, I always, when people start talking to me about suicide, and I've done this many times over, I've had friends bring me their kids that wanted to kill themselves and that kind of thing. Happened not long ago, you know, and I have two reactions to it. Depends if it's a child or a young man or something like that. I tell him to pull himself up by his bootstraps. Who are you to think you can take yourself out of this life if you've got responsibility, if you've got kids, if you've got a wife you need to take care of, kids to get to, stop being selfish, start looking at them. You know, your life is here to support them. It's not yourself. That's why I say suicide is a selfish act. Now, other people that are just tired of life and they're sick and all sorts of other things, you know, I tell them, you know, God may have a purpose for you on your last day of your sickness, that you're going to show the way to another human being a future of eternity. Think about that. And if you take yourself out, you won't have that opportunity to share that with another human being, right? Because we don't know when God is going to use us and how he's going to use us. So I don't think we have the right to take that possibility of benefit to other human beings away. As long as we have air to breathe, we can get up enough to do it. And, you know, this whole thing about killing old people because they're old, you know, euthanasia and all that, I don't agree with any of it. And I was a doctor for a long, long time. You know, I just don't agree with it, period. We've got sickness. We have to live through that sickness. We can make people as comfortable as humanly possible, but there's no good thing about getting old. You know, there's no good thing about diseases. There's no good thing about cancers. There's no good thing about any of it, but it still allows you the opportunity to grow and to flourish with the human race until it's time to leave. And only God can decide that, really, when you think about it. When Jesus or the creative mother spirit decides for me to go home, I'm gone, Jack. That's all there is to it. No way around it. And I think it should be that way with everyone. I really do. I think suicide eventually, when we hit light in life, that will be a thing of the past, because if you get to that point where you're ready to pass over, you'll fuse with your adjuster to do it. You'll be gone, you know. Now I've preached,
Well said.
and it's 7 o'clock. Yeah. So we'll take it up from here next time. I think 2.2, something like that. Maybe 2.1. We'll start again.
0.2, yeah, 2.1.
Yeah, 2.1. And the first one, the Sovereign of Nebadon. We'll take it up from there. I hope that helps, Gary. I don't know. I know it's kind of a roundabout way to answer it, you know.
I know he's serious because he's talked to me about it a couple times over
Yeah.
over a couple years.
Yeah.
So it's in his mind. one of those things that's, kind of ingrained in him at this particular time.
Well,
But,
maybe your job to show him a better way, Gary,
well, I've introduced him to the book, and believe it, he's got a Jewish. This is unbelievable. He's got a Jewish background, and he said that when Melchizedek came to Abram, he says, "That's not in the Torah. That's not in the Torah. That's not true." It's and he says, he stopped reading, and I kind of threw my hands up at the time, huh?
Actually, Gary, tell him it is in the Torah, and
Yes,
tell
it
him
is.
to refer to Lord Jonathan Sacks' teachings, the chief rabbi of London, England. And I'll tell you a short story. I won't make it long unless I can tell you after the closing.
Whichever is good.
That's what introduced me indirectly to the Urantia book. I was an avid listener and still am of Lord Jonathan Sacks, rest his soul. He passed away just a few years ago. And he mentioned Melchizedek. And I thought, I need to know more about the Melchizedek, because even in the church, they only mention his name once at Easter time, that Jesus was of the order of Melchizedek.
Which is not true,
church.
right?
No, but that's the knowledge they have.
Yeah.
That's the knowledge they had. But they mentioned the name just the same within the liturgy, within the service, not as a Bible study, in the service. So anyway, to make a long story short, Jonathan Sacks is an excellent teacher of the Torah. And because he mentioned him, I Googled Melchizedek and the Urantia book came up, and I went to buy the book.
That's great.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, tell him he does exist in the Torah.
I actually tracked it down in the Torah. He does. It's a different scenario, though.
Well, because they don't have the revelation. The same as the Catholic Church. They don't follow, they don't have the revelation. And
it was interesting. I think it was Josh Gates. What is that show, dear?
I just said Josh Gates.
Josh Gates. So I can't even think of his name.
Well, he was the King of Salem in it.
And Well, he is. They had two shows. One was on last week. One's on tomorrow night. I guess it is, about Moses. And the thing that they found that doing all this archaeological stuff over in Egypt is when they wrote the New Testament or the Old Testament down, which is the Torah, right? When they wrote all that stuff down, it was from hundreds and hundreds of stories that had been passed down from generation to generation. So some of it's in there and some of it's not. It's just a compilation of a lot of different things. And it's kind of interesting to see the archaeological studies, the thing they're finding that's happened. Some of it's true and some of it doesn't work out to be true. So anyway, I just mentioned that. We need to close because we're 3 minutes over here. So let's close with a prayer and we will get together on Thursday. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. We thank you for this opportunity to share with one another and learn new things. We thank you for those that listened at home and all the great comments I get through the email and all the other things. We thank you for those that participate with us and those that are learning and continue to learn, and open our hearts and minds that we might all be able to learn new concepts, learn new things, and share it with others. We thank you for all this in the name of your Son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
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 Thank you. Thank you, Roger.
Love you guys.
Thank you.
And we will see you on the next time. Let me stop my share here.